Video games, video games, video games. Video games is entertainment for kids and adults to play with while they are relaxing or if they want to take mind off things. A video game is an electronic game that involves human interaction with a user interface to generally get feedback on a video device. The first video game device that was invented was the cathode ray tube amusement device. This device is created by Thomas T. Goldsmith Jr. and Estelle Rayman. The video game they were inventing was called Tennis for Two. You may all think, this looks like Pong. Well, actually, this was where Pong was first born. You see, back in 1940s, society didn't have any electronic video gaming devices. The first video game device was created from a submarine sonar radar, which then in 1977, second generation console, Atari released their own game consoles called the Atari 2600. Atari used joysticks that only consisted one joystick and one button. Atari also released some of the notable games in their time, such as Pong, Pac-Man, Pole Position, and Donkey Kong. We move forward to the third generation consoles. In 1985, Nintendo Entertainment System, also known as NES, was released. With the success of the 8-bit era, games like Super Mario Bros., Duck Hunt, Mega Man, and Legend of Zelda were brought to life. The Nintendo Entertainment System controllers consisted of a directional pad where players can move forward, back, left, or right. They also had the A, B, select, and start buttons. Pretty simple buttons for its time. In 1991, the Super Nintendo, also known as Super NES, was launched. The system design and specs have upgraded from the previous console. It consisted 16-bit graphics and a new controller. The new controller consisted of a few more buttons, just like the Nintendo controller. It had a directional pad, A, B, X, Y, L, and R, and the select and start buttons. Newer games such as Super Mario World, Mega Man X, Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, and Yoshi's Island were known for Super NES's successful hit. Now, what do you think that comes to mind when you think about video games? Well, the first thing that comes to your mind is, well, controller. You can't play a game without a controller because then you can't move, you can't fire or press buttons. That's the first thing that comes up to your mind when you think about a video game. The second would be, obviously, the game software. In order to play the game, you need the actual game in order to play the video game, the software. It comes with a disc usually, and most of the time, today in modern society, that we would be using a game disc instead of cartridge. Now, it's actually a lot cheaper to create discs over game cartridges because the game cartridges got more expensive as time grew past us. So instead, we're using now DVD discs now. So I went ahead and interviewed my parents to see what their input in video games is like.
Video games are a form of entertainment for kids, young adults, even adults. Keeps their mind off of, normal day-to-day thing. I do, not all video games. It has to be something that would hold my attention, something that would keep me from thinking about problems. So something entertaining, has a story, it's not boring, and it's not one-sided. It just keeps, it goes each, the levels go up. Back then it was called the Knight Rider, sort of a driving game. All you can see are lights on the road, and you have to look ahead, anticipate the turns, the curves, so that you won't hit and get stalled and then you lose time. The objective of the game is to be the fastest driver in about a minute or two. I think in moderation it is. It's a form of entertainment, supposed to keep your brain stimulated but not overstimulated that you're so obsessed with just playing that game and not wanting to do anything else. Once you stop doing your normal day-to-day things and get stuck with just playing video games, there's something wrong.
I then go ahead and ask my father, Carlo De Castro, and ask what he thinks about video games.
Well, they are games people play that you see on the computer. You know, a lot of times it's a competitive game where you have an opponent that you compete with, and there's only one winner. Yeah, I think it's a good game for the mind. It stimulates the mind and your competitive nature. It brings about a different perspective in life, you know. Back in the 80s, I used to play Space Invaders. At that time, there's not very much choices to make. The most popular game at that time was Space Invaders, and everybody was into it. If you compare that to the video games of today, it's nothing compared, but during that time, I think it's one of the games that revolutionized the video technology. Overall, I think anything is good. Anything that's not extreme is good. Anything that is overdone, that is played in extreme, is not good. It's not healthy. Everything, I always believe everything that's done in moderation is good for the soul.
In conclusion, video games is a form of entertainment and fun for kids to adults. We see them as day-to-day form of activities where you sit down on a couch or a chair and just have fun. And that's how you do it. Thanks for watching my documentary for video games.